Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie, and today we're going to be talking with Karla, the director and co-founder of AIMS Global. We're going to be talking about families of neurodivergent loved ones and the supports that they do get and they don't get, and maybe what we can do about that. So, Karla, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's so lovely to see you again. I have missed your videos from last week, the last time I saw one. So, yes, my name is Karla Pretorius, and I'm the director and co-founder of AIMS Global. I'm also chief clinical officer of Augmental. And that is one of the support systems that I would love to share with you. I've been in the field now of neurodiversity for 18 years. So it's definitely my life and I love what I do.
Oh, that's amazing. And thank you so much for being here to talk with us today.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be here.
So, what do you think about the amount of support that parents of neurodivergent children get right now? Like, do you feel like there's really enough support out there right now?
I believe there's a lot of good intentioned people and organizations out there. I do believe that it has come a long way. I feel like there are various support systems and organizations that are trying to help parents. I don't think that there's a one-stop shop that I would say, yes, try them because they will help every single parent out there. With a child, a child diagnosed with ADHD or a child diagnosed with ASD. So I think that we're lacking in working together. And I think that we're lacking in referring to where the parent needs to go, and also pediatricians possibly not knowing where to refer parents to. So to answer your question, I think that we should be pulling all the support systems more together and then vetting which support system works best for each child.
That's really insightful because, like, when I have parents talk to me, a lot of times that's like one of their questions is like, where do I go? How do I get more information? How do I do this? What do I do? And a lot of times, all I can say is like, I don't know, like research things, or you can watch my videos. I don't know, or like
Yeah.
find a Facebook group. That's about the most I know. And that's usually more than their pediatrician or whoever else really gives them.
Exactly. And that's why I refer a lot of our parents to your videos too, because
Oh,
they should, but definitely they should learn from lived experience, but then also really look around and see what's in their area and who are recommending which services and what types of kids are benefiting from that support system. So I think that's really important. But you touched on something extremely important, and that's the parents supporting other parents, which I think is also very, very important for parents to know that there are other parents going through this journey. They're not alone. There is a network of people that they can connect with. And sometimes some of these groups are, on Facebook are a little bit too big. So then it's not as secure. And I think some of the advice is not always monitored. But there are definitely some groups out there that I feel like could help other parents.
for sure. I've heard from one parent who they had actually joined like an autism mom type of group or whatever, and they were really excited to like hear information. And instead, that particular group was more about sharing very personal things about their child, but like not in a
Mm.
constructive way, like for finding help, mostly just like kind of complaining, honestly. And so she felt kind of alienated because she could relate to those struggles, but she didn't really want to focus on the struggle. She wanted to be able to get support from other people and like find ways to help her child instead of like dog on her child, you know?
And that happens too. And also, a lot of the personal information is shared then. And
Yeah.
that's also something to look out for to keep the groups a bit smaller is always best, and to make sure that you build a rapport with the people that you're sharing any information with. I mean, that goes to our kids too, right? So I work with a lot of autistic adolescents, and I need to tell them, and we need to go through the rules and say what you should share and what you should not share, and why that's important. Because unfortunately, we live in such a technologically rich life at the moment, world at the moment, that we need to be helping our kids and ourselves into what is right and what is safe and not.
So where do you feel that support is lacking?
I feel like some of the support might be a bit too rigid in the way that they prescribe to parents what they should and shouldn't do for their kids, and possibly the support modality might be too rigid and too focused on progress and, time-based and trials and those kind of things. And I think that not all parents are looking at the short-term gains. They're probably looking more for independence in general, an independent child. That's what we all want, for our kids to be independent. And others are focusing on the child, which is good, but possibly not on expanding on their interest and just saying, like, I'm thinking more of a child-led program, which I do like, but I feel like sometimes it's maybe not enough structure. And so I think the happy medium sometimes is lacking. I also think that a major problem in this field is the financial feasibility of these programs. If a parent is perhaps told to do OT, speech therapy, and all these other things that a pediatrician or a professional might suggest, they might be going to so many different types of therapies, and that costs money. It's also very difficult to generalize from one professional to another if they're not working collaboratively together. Yeah. So there are things we can work on.
I definitely agree. These are things I've heard from parents. That's basically what I'm trying to say. We had some kind of brainstorming meeting in my local area for the needs of the autistic community and their families. And that was definitely a big thing. Things just aren't connected well. Like, keeping track of things is so difficult, and keeping track of like what's happening, being able to, like you said, afford things, especially like here in the United States. A lot of people have concerns about how long their insurance is going to cover things, and then that gets even more expensive. And so yeah, definitely have heard those issues brought up by parents as well on my end.
And it's a shame, because I feel like there are support services out there. It's just we need to be able to connect all of them better, and also keep track. That's the big thing, is keep track of what this therapist told this parent, what the parent is seeing at home, and then sharing that with the pediatrician or the school.
Right.
Which I feel is something that we've been getting at with Tractor, but I can speak to you later about that.
What can parents do to find some emotional support?
So the emotional support, I feel like, should come from other parents, and from they can advocate for their child, they can educate themselves, they can also validate their own emotions, that they're going through this process. It's their child, it's them as well that's going through the process, and it's their family unit that's going through a process of acceptance and learning and, discovering and then embracing neurodivergency. So I think that they can definitely seek out support from advocates like yourself, and go and watch all the videos of lived experiences and learn from people that have the best advice, and also finding their niche or their group that they connect with better, and then also those parents that have gone through or are going through the same journey. I feel like that finding a support group is important, and seeing if that is the support group for you, and then kind of like Airbnb, going to the next one if it's not the right one for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does group coaching work?
So group coaching is a type of support service where parents can find other parents that are going through similar journeys with their children, and they can go into a group setting. How we do it is we have 10 parents and one group coach, and they choose a topic for the month or longer. They can extend the topic, and then they also choose to send through questions to the coach beforehand or during the session. The session is weekly. It's for an hour long, and the questions are answered. So the parents all share their questions. They can do it anonymously, but then the other parents also learn from those questions. The parents are usually grouped together with similar ages of kids, or developmental levels. And let's say a parent wants to work on expanding communication skills with their child or interest, they can join that specific group. and they can speak to their coach on a weekly basis. They also receive practical strategies. So it's not as much based on theory, but it's more on, if you need a visual schedule or a social story, here's a template. You can print it and you utilize it immediately. So I think that's what parents are seeking, is that practical element too, that's not just based on, okay, so go to this course and sit for 6 months, and then you still don't have that practical template that you can use today. So that to me is a real-time questions and answers provided to parents.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because I think that's just such a valuable way of providing support, especially because I feel bad as a creator in the space of like trying to educate people about autism, because I'll get a lot of messages and I just can't respond to like everybody, right? And so there's people who will reach out asking me questions about this and that, and to have like someone who's dedicated to being able to answer their questions and to be kind of in that group that understands them maybe more just because of like demographics and everything, I think that's really awesome.
I'm happy that you're thinking it's awesome too.
Yeah. What about tracking behaviors or like the child's mood?
So what I mentioned earlier about Tractor, it's already an app. So it's already out. It's a free app that parents can download today, and they can track their child's mood, their level of anxiety, the behaviors, any activities. If they are working on potty training, they can track that. They can also track if the child is taking medicine. So it's a tracking app. And that can also be shared with other professionals in the child's team. So the pediatrician can have access to certain parts of the app and the information. They can add journal entries where they could add if something specific happened that day, and that might be the reason why a behavior spikes or the mood changes of the child. And that could then be shared with the school, or, they can be part of the team as well, and the therapist. But everyone's on one app and one group, so that they know, okay, the speech therapist can track, the OT can track the child's behaviors and activities and so on, and mood, and then the parent as well, which is really important for the parent to be an active participant in the child's program. So that is already available to download.
That's really awesome. I'm actually like getting really excited about it while you're talking about it. So I'm going into the field of occupational therapy. I'm currently in school to become an occupational therapy assistant. And one of the things that we're taught a lot about is the client-centered kind of focus. And when we're talking about parents, especially when we're talking about parents of neurodivergent children, so obviously they're going to be the voice most advocating for their child. I really like that concept. Like the parent is definitely in control of a lot of information and being able to share that. I'm excited because I've heard so many issues about like the disconnect between so-and-so's not talking with this, and this person had no idea this was happening, and blah, 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 blah. And to be just like, okay, we'll get on my app and here's our thing. And like, we know that this is, maybe a trigger for something. And we know that this can help in this situation, or we're kind of working on this thing. I just really like that. I think that's really cool.
But that's exactly it, right? And it's usually the OTs. We love working with OTs because they give us these really fun exercises to do as well as therapists. And for parents can do a lot of these exercises to generalize what the occupational therapist is doing, but they can do it at home or during an outing or when they're going to visit grandma maybe. And with this app, the occupational therapist can then add which activities should be done at which time. So it's empowering the parents, but it's also giving that accountability of like, okay, so let's see if it is getting done, if there's a difference in your child, which is really nice. It also tracks sleep. So it's really, we try to cover all the areas that are quite important for parents and for their kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. Especially with like the whole, we were kind of talking a little bit about how with like appointments and cost and everything, a lot of times parents will get a few sessions for occupational therapy within a certain span of time because of insurance. And it's not always clear that has to be carried over in personal life. And so if those sessions aren't as effective. So like to be able to like have that communication, even like, oh, hey, reminder, like this would be a really good thing to do in this situation, that can like really reinforce that and make those sessions a lot more impactful. And I don't know, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But it's like it's the consistency as well, because otherwise we hear a lot from parents that my child's so great in therapy or at school, but then when they come home, it's like a little tornado. And like, yeah, but it's because they're used to these strategies that are implemented in therapy. And obviously, we're trained as therapists, and we're not generalizing that to the home environment, and we're not giving the tools to the parents. So there will be, and the child is feeling dysregulated because they are used to predictability and visual schedules and other visual strategies, and then at home, because it's not similar or there's a lack thereof, there might be a spike in behavior. It's understandable. I feel sorry for the parents and the child.
Yeah. So how do parents sign up for the group coaching?
So we're actually launching a new group pilot, and it's our first group coaching pilot that we're doing. So we're doing it for free. We are launching it in September of 2022. So the deadline for the application is the 21st of August, 22. And then we're starting that. That's going to run over 2 months. The only thing we really require from parents is to participate and take an active role in it and let us know what they felt, how the program was. It would be myself and Nanette Buerta, the other founder of AIMS Global, that will be doing the sessions. And we're really excited. We're only taking 20 parents, so we really do want to see how it goes. The program is called My Independent Child. And then from there on, we will launch more group coaching together with the tracking with Tracto. So it will become one. We're hoping that it's going to help a lot of people. So if they go to tracto.app, www.tracto.app, at the top there is an application button that they can just hit, and they can apply for the free program. So yes, good luck, and I hope to see everyone there.
Yes. So if you all as viewers are interested in being able to give really valuable feedback about how this should go, you should really run and sign up as quick as you can, because like she said, there's only 20 spots available. So I'm just saying, if you want to see like make a big change and get awesome like stuff going on in your life, you should do it. Thank you so much, Karla, for having this discussion with me and bringing this to my awareness, because I think this is really going to help a lot of parents and families.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and yes. I'll go ahead and leave all of that information in the description box as well, in case it's easier for you all just to click. Thank you all so much for watching today, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye. Thank you to everyone who supports me here on YouTube as YouTube channel members, through Ko-fi, and as patrons on Patreon. And a special thank you to my Spinny Stimmy tier patrons, Philip Noah, Jack Varney, and Snowbird.